and welcome back to Unka, broadcasting live from the coal city, Enugu State. Here on Afia TV, we're on DSTV channel 254, Go TV channel 17, and Free TV channel 748. My name is Chinalo Mogu as your host for this episode of Unka. Here we dive into conversations with inspiring individuals, people who are doing and have done this thing called life. They have stories to share and things they have done that has helped them in this thing called life. And we can draw a couple things or two from their experiences, what has worked for them, and how they are killing it every day. And you see, Mothering Sunday is on the 30th. This Sunday is on the 30th. I don't know your plans. I don't know what you plan on doing. Last week, I explained why it seems there are so many Mother's Days in a year. That's not exactly what it is like. It's just that this Mothering Sunday is influenced by the Catholic Christian calendar. So everybody has adopted it and made it their thing. Everybody, despite the denomination, celebrates Mothering Sunday together with the Catholics. Then May 11th is the world recognized day for Mother's Day. Do you see the difference? I'm sure you've learned a thing or two with this explanation I've given you today. Okay, so I'd like to know your plans for Mothering Sunday. What are you going to do for your mother? I have a couple of ideas, which include book her a spa session, send money to her account, send her a money bouquet, give her money in an envelope, more money, more money, more money, because why not? Everybody loves money, so do that for your mother. But if you have other plans, I'd like to read from you and hear from you. So you can send a message to us on Instagram at Afia TV Official or on my personal account at Nalu_Kings. I'd love to read from you. So, in the spirit of reading and learning new things, today you and I are going to be learning Spanish. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to introduce to you our tutor today. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Unka. My name is Chinalo Mogu Eze. And like I said, this is the day you and I will learn Spanish. I don't know. The only Spanish word, or the sentence rather, I know is a buenos dias. I like to say that. And I watch a lot of Spanish shows. I like the way it sounds, but beyond just learning Spanish words today, we're also going to be talking to someone who is a mother who has done a couple things in that field, has extended learning of Spanish into building something beautiful. I'm talking about this woman who is a professor of Spanish language and the director at SLANG Global. Let us welcome Professor Uchenna Pamela Vasser. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
And I was going to say that you said buenos dias.
Yeah.
So it happens to be afternoon.
Okay.
So you say buenas tardes.
Oh my God, we haven't even started.
Yes, so buenas tardes,
Okay.
and that's good afternoon in Spanish.
Okay, we can. You know, when we say good day,
Okay.
we can. I think we could still use buenos dias to say that.
So for good day, you could just say buenas.
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 Guys, a lot is going to unveil itself tonight. Okay. Thank you for emphasizing on that. We're going to go back into proper teaching of the Spanish language.
That is
but
correct.
The first thing I want to know, when I saw your name, the first thing in my head is Vasser is not a Nigerian name.
No,
it is
it's
not
not.
Igbo. So tell us a bit about you.
Okay.
And just tell us a bit about you.
Thank you for having me here,
Of course.
and welcome to everyone. And what I like to do when someone asks me a question to talk about myself, I always say that I remember a biblical story about talent, someone or people receiving talents, and what did they do with it. And I'd like to say that I have a talent which I multiplied. Okay, so in multiplying that talent, I multiplied myself, if you will. So Vasser is a part of me in that multiplication. The Spanish I speak is another multiplication.
Okay.
What I do in Nigeria is yet another multiplication. Because at the end of the day, I happen to be a Nigerian woman from Enugu State, Eziagu
Okay.
Imeziowa.
Okay.
And I have multiplied my talents in many, many ways.
Okay.
And Vasser is one of them.
Okay, I think we're going to be talking about these talents one after the
There
other.
we go.
So let's talk about Vasser,
Yes.
right? It's obviously Spanish or not?
So it's foreign. It is foreign, actually. So Vasser is one of my selves because I went to Ohio State University,
Okay.
and I did meet a Vasser there, and we ended up getting together.
Oh dear.
Yes.
We'll come back to the love story or not, but that's beautiful.
Right.
So you are Professor Uchenna Pamela Vasser.
That is correct.
I like saying. I don't know. I may say Vasser a lot today
well,
because
that's
it sounds really,
that's
really.
All right. I'm
cute.
claiming it. I'm claiming it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your other talents. You
Right.
said there are many. So
Absolutely.
let's go to Spanish. So what is the thing about learning Spanish, right? Why did you decide to learn Spanish?
Some things you don't decide. Some things just happen to you, and Spanish happened to me. But I also want to say that there are about 500 million people worldwide speaking Spanish.
Oh.
Spanish is spoken, the official language, in over 20 countries. In the United States, it's a dominant language. It's English and then Spanish and all the other things. So Spanish is an important language in the global workplace, if you will.
Okay.
And so why can't we in Nigeria also be a part of that worldwide phenomenon, which is speaking Spanish? So, but I did come into Spanish. I studied it. But the more I studied it, the more I realized that a Nigerian, a Black woman speaking Spanish is an asset. And it's taken me to all kinds of places.
Tell us about that.
And brought me here. So my stint at Ohio State University, because I did go to school in Spain, in Madrid.
Okay.
Yeah, so while I was there, I met a professor who said to me, and this is one of my stories, he goes, you're Black, you're African, you speak Spanish. You would do wonders if you went to the United States of America.
Okay.
But I kind of didn't believe him in the beginning, but he insisted. And so I figured I had nothing to lose. And that's how I ended up at Ohio State with a stipend of, I did not pay for my graduate program at Ohio State because I happened to be a Black woman who spoke Spanish, was from
Wow.
Nigeria.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. When you said it took you into rooms that really
Absolutely.
made you stand out.
Absolutely.
So it was because you were a Black woman who spoke Spanish.
And from Africa.
And from Africa. Okay. I think that's the icing on the cake, probably,
Yes.
because you were from Africa.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And I looked like I could represent any number of groups because of where I come from and how I've been raised and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little search on your SLANG Global.
Well, you've done a search, right?
Yeah, who would not do
okay.
that? Okay. So a little search shows, I think that from there we see something about you. I'm sure maybe not you, obviously, put up the website and all that, but it has it that Spanish has a connection with Afro-Latin.
Absolutely.
Could you please
Yes.
tell
Yes.
us about that?
That is a very important, and that's really the important reason why we're here. So if you look at SLANG Global, which I'm glad that you've done, it says learn Spanish, but there is another objective. It's to make connections with the Afro-Latin world. What does that mean? These are Black people who speak Spanish that are not necessarily in Africa. In fact, they're not in Africa.
Yeah.
So where would you find these Black people? You'd find them in the Caribbean. You'd find them in Latin America. You also find them in the United States of America, and more recently in Spain. So what do we do at SLANG Global? Yes, we're using Spanish as that bridge that connects the continent of Africa with the Spanish-speaking African diaspora. The reason why that is important is because Spanish is spoken there, English is spoken here, so the language barrier becomes a bit of a problem. But people like you, people like me, live in Panama, Venezuela, Cuba, La
El
República Dominicana,
Salvador.
El Salvador, they're
Yeah.
everywhere. But the reason why we don't know about them is because of the language barrier, right?
Right.
Right. So it is what we do. So at SLANG Global, we teach Spanish, but then we teach the cultures of those people. We introduce people to those people. I always like to show like documentaries of Colombia. Colombia has a particularly interesting history, as well as all the other countries. But Colombia has a place called Basilio de San Palenque, or San Palenque de
Oh, wow.
Basilio. So it is a runaway slave settlement. Palenque de San Basilio, San Basilio de Palenque, depending on how you want to say that. It's by the coast, not too far from the Caribbean, Atlantic coast of Colombia. Why is it important? The first port of call into Latin America, South America was Colombia, in a place
Okay.
called Cartagena. So a lot of these, well, when I say port of call, for the slaves that were shipped
Yes.
from Africa. So when they got there, they were sold to other parts of Latin America. It was a great place for them to try to escape. And so we have a famous uh, slave turned founder of a runaway establishment, and his name is Bencos Biojo.
Okay.
So Bencos Biojo, escaped and ended up founding this or establishing really this place called Palenque de San Basilio,
Okay.
where you have other runaway slaves. And one interesting thing about Bencos Biojo is that to let people know how to get to Palenque de San Basilio, he had people braid their hair, and the braids were roots. So women would braid their hair just like we have, but the braids were actually pathways to how to get to the established runaway slave settlement. So
Oh,
once upon a time,
smart.
braids on your head were actually supposed to be a way to get away from the master.
Okay.
Yeah.
We never looked at it that way.
Well, we need to. We need to. But that was great history. But now braiding is aesthetics, but it served a purpose once upon a time.
Yeah, it did. Say
Yeah.
that name again, the man's name. Say it
Bencos Biojo.
again. Bengos Bioko.
Bencos
Bencos
Biojo.
Bioko.
Biojo.
There's
yes.
a lot to learn tonight. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. But I want to bring it down to Enugu
Tell
that
me.
we are in right now.
Tell me.
So I'd like to know, SLANG Global has a place in the United States, and it's here in Enugu. And maybe I shouldn't speak for everybody who lives in Nigeria, but because I was born in Enugu, I know that growing up, they made French compulsory for us. Primary school, secondary school, no school that I know of is doing anything about enforcing Spanish language in their schools. So you having SLANG Global here in Enugu, do you feel disadvantaged
No.
having it in this city?
Not
because
at
of that?
all. No, we feel like we're pioneers because we feel that it's important. When you start doing work that you think is necessary. So again, it's talking about that talent. I leave the country, and I go to the world, and I see that Spanish is important. And so I say, someone like you might learn Spanish, and it'll take you from here to elsewhere. So yes, we have French. Yes, we have German. Yes, we have Chinese. It's about time we had Spanish. And yes, it may be a tough hill, but you know what? We love to climb the hill, so we're ready to go.
Right.
Not a disadvantage, it's an opportunity.
But then you could have SLANG Global anywhere in Nigeria. Why Enugu State?
Why not start here? I am from
Right.
here
You're from
anyway,
here,
so why
of
not?
course.
That's right.
That makes sense. And
Yeah.
I like that. I like the idea of having it here. Everybody who wants to pioneer something likes to go. This is no offense to Lagosians or anybody elsewhere, but they like to go to Lagos.
Okay.
They like to do these things in Lagos and those sorts of places. And it makes sense that you're doing it here. Once upon a time, I was at SLANG Global, by the way, and they were learning salsa.
Yes.
So you're really doing,
Yes.
really exploring the Spanish culture.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Do you get people tell you, shouldn't you try do more for being an Igbo person than having promoting another culture? Do you ever get people say stuff like that?
Some people do.
Okay.
But I think that those are questions that we take into consideration, because if we're trying to break into a society or into a community, you have to understand where they're coming from. And so that is a very valid question. And I actually say to people that when we talk about the Spanish-speaking African diaspora, we're saying that we want people to know them. Well, guess what? We're also transporting the culture, the indigenous culture here, back to them. Why is why is that? And that's because in a place like the country of Cuba, for example, when you go to Cuba, they'll tell you Orisha, Shango, Ogun. So they're very much in tune with the Yoruba component of their history. They're not in tune with the other aspects of their history, but for good reason. Slavery from the Nigerian hinterland, from the Bight of Biafra, which is, Calabar, Ibibio, Arochukwu, and all those places, started in the 16th century. But the Yoruba presence expanded in the New World starting in the 19th century. So the Yoruba presence is newer than the other presence. So you could argue that people who were enslaved, who were Igbos, had enough time to become what we call Afro-Latinos or Americans, just Black Americans, if you will. The Yorubas had enough time to play with their culture before slavery before it was abolished. So in a place like Cuba, slavery was abolished in 1886. You had a lot of Yorubas, a lot coming the beginning of the 19th century. So the 1886 is 19th century. So a lot of remembrance, if you will, of where they came from. For the Igbo person and people from other ethnic groups, they had time to assimilate or be overtaken by the other cultures. So what we're doing here is that we're taking it back to them. It's like, remember once upon a time, so they'll say Orisha. I said, great, but what about Amadioha? What about Allah? What about these other things? So we're reintroducing Igbo cultures to some of these places, and they're thankful for it. Yes.
You seem to know so much about Spanish, how it's related to Africa, Cuba, everywhere. That's good. No one can throw you off guard.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Yeah.
Right. But I'm curious though. I think, language has a way of making someone assimilate properly in that particular culture, right? So do you feel a part of your Nigerianness leaves you when you go full on into that Spanish mode? Do you still feel Nigerian? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to go to.
I don't know, but let me see if I can. So I go to places like, I go to countries like Cuba a lot. And when I go to Cuba, I'm actually Cuban. Because there are people like me and you in Cuba. So I'm speaking Spanish, and they might say to me, pero ¿de dónde eres? So ¿de qué parte de Cuba? So meaning, exactly, so where are you from? So what part of Cuba? And I said, pues que yo soy de Nigeria. So I am from Nigeria. And they're very surprised because it's like, pero que eres de Nigeria, que hablas español, blah, blah, blah. So you're from Nigeria and you speak Spanish. So in that regard, I actually, and they call me hermana. Hermana is sister. So in that space, actually, I'm Cuban. I am so Cuban that sometimes, and it's not difficult because Cubans have a lot of the Black cultural expressions. So it's not difficult to actually become part of Cuba or part of, or become Cuban when you're there. So I don't know if that answered your question.
It does, because at the same time, when they ask you where you're from and you say Nigeria, and you are also telling them who you are, where you're coming from, and it's getting into their heads while at it.
And they would love to. The entire group of people I know in Cuba would like to be right here like yesterday.
would they?
Because I have given them so much information. Because I see myself as an ambassador. So I've learned the language. I'm also now back to the roots. They have roots here, but my advantage is I can come back to the roots. They can't come back. And so if they can, they'd be here like yesterday.
That's cute.
Yeah.
But what is this thing about being a multilingual? Like, some people can speak 7 languages, 5. That's not even going to how many I can speak, but it is well. So people can go as far as speaking 10 languages. So do you choose the language you want to learn based on popularity, or I don't know? What can you say?
In my case, the only language that I chose intentionally is Portuguese. And that is because of the similarity. So when I did my graduate work at UNC Chapel Hill, which is the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, that's where I got my PhD. I thought, well, I can speak Spanish, I speak English, I speak Igbo. Why not add Portuguese? So that was an intentional choice. And because it's actually quite similar. And I have a lot of connections with Brazil, because again, Brazil, outside of Nigeria, Brazil has the largest Black population in the world.
Does?
Yes, it does.
That makes sense.
Yes. So, but most of Brazil is again the Yoruba. So they will tell, and a bit of Central Africa, So over there they'll talk about Yemaya, So Yemaya is the goddess of the water.
Okay.
Yoruba people, Shango, you've heard of Shango,
yes.
Ogun. So
Ogun,
so they talk about all those things. And so when they see you, and of course in a place like Brazil, they sell acarajé. Acarajé is Portuguese, but acarajé is akara.
Yes, it is.
It sure is. And they carry it on their heads like, the women who sell akara.
The akara.
Yes,
But it's really not akara over there.
It is acarajé. It's the same akara.
It's the same
100%.
bean ball.
Same stuff.
Are you serious?
Same stuff. Same.
So many similarities.
Yes,
actually.
So when I go there, they don't look at me like, oh, you're Igbo. They just go, oh my gosh, you're from Nigeria.
Yeah.
You're our sister. And so when they say to me Shango, I'm like, actually, I kind of don't know about Shango, but yeah, I mean, I do as a literary, something I have studied, but I am not from that part of Nigeria. So they don't care anyway sometimes. Yeah.
I hope you're learning. There are some Spanish words that just came out of Professor Vasser's words, but she's going to explain and properly do some of those things later. And I hope you're also learning that there are many similarities between West Africans, Nigerians, and a couple of other Spanish-speaking countries. I hope you're taking notes. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with Professor Uchenna Pamela Vasser.
This match, we are keeping it 1,000 with Showmax Shikini season. 1,000 laughs, 1,000 must-watch moments, 1,000 Naija. All these for just 1,000 Naira, but only for a limited time.
Cha-ching. Watch all the hottest shows on mobile for just 1,000 Naira anytime and anywhere. Unlimited drama, unmissable series for just 1,000 Naira on real price. Sign up now on showmax.com.
Welcome back. My name is Chinaloro Mogu Eze, and this is Nka. We're still having this thrilling conversation with Professor Uchenna Pamela Vasser, a professor of Spanish language. So, just a deviation from what we've been doing since. Why are you not on social media? You are not on Facebook. You are not on Instagram. You're not on Twitter.
SLANG Global is.
But I'm talking about you
I know.
personally.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm someone who is not I don't know. I
I don't know,
mean,
you don't know.
yeah, I know. So I see the benefits of them, but because the truth be told, because I am a professor in the United States of America, I feel that there has to be a separation between my students and what I put out there, because you have, I mean, it's a hierarchical
Okay.
relationship. So yes, I could put out, but I don't want to be tagged by my students on Facebook because they'll look. I
Okay.
kind of give you an example. At the university in the United States of America, because I'm a tall person,
Okay.
and maybe I'm different in a way. I had a class where each time I walked in there, the students would take photographs of me because they
Oh,
thought that I looked fantastic.
what is
I
that?
know.
Were they white kids?
White, yes.
Fantastic.
So white and black actually.
Okay.
And so I used to say to myself, where are these kids putting this photograph? So maybe in a way it was okay that I didn't know where it was going, because as soon as I walked into class, they're like, oh my gosh, look what you're wearing, and then they'll take photographs, and I'm like, okay, where is the stuff going?
Oh.
But anyway,
So, in other words, you were
yes.
trying to protect yourself
I was
by
trying
not
to
being on social media.
separate, because I mean, I am a full professor, and
Of
I
course.
don't want to be so protection. I'm not so I wasn't afraid, but I didn't want to have a situation where the lines are blurred between professor and student.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's this thing we usually do on Afia, on Ankara rather, where we post throwback pictures of
Okay.
our guests.
Oh,
I could
wow.
not find any. Oh my God.
No, you're not gonna find any.
I could not
Yeah,
find any. Then you were on LinkedIn, but you only talk about SLANG Global.
that is
only.
correct.
It's good how you carry your brand. It's good how when someone looks at you, they know this is you. That you're not even different from the brand you're promoting. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I still have a couple questions
Tell
that
me.
would just display on the screen, but not now.
Okay.
What's your favorite Spanish dish?
Pues paella. So paella is it's kind of like fried rice.
I would say the same thing. Please,
Yes.
let's have the images if you have
Of
them
paella.
ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I wanted to ask a couple questions about them.
No,
What's this one called? It's not this one. I know
no
it's not this
paella.
one.
No, it's not this.
What's this one called?
This is what's it called? I don't know what this is. This is like
It looks like a pie.
yeah, it's kind of shoot, what is it called? It's an egg. This is not Spanish, but it is typical in
okay.
yeah.
Maybe a couple of other Spanish-speaking
Yes.
countries use
So
it.
if you see empanada, this is gazpacho. Okay, this is a soup. So gazpacho.
What is it made of?
So gazpacho is gazpacho is carrots, and so it's a vegetable soup. It's either served cold or it's served hot. But gazpacho, your typical gazpacho is cold soup, vegetable. Yes.
Cold. All
Yes.
right. Makes sense. So the carrot is like you grind it.
Yes. So you kind of just puree. ¿Qué es eso? Croquetas.
Yeah.
Croquetas.
Croquetas.
Yeah.
Do you usually eat these things when you go to Cuba, Mexico?
Always, because that's they're very happy about their cuisine, so they don't like
Right.
all this other funny stuff. So yeah, you eat croqueta.
We're
Croqueta.
coming back to the accent. I know.
Paella, yes, la
It
paella.
looks so much like our jollof
That is
rice.
correct. The difference is the seafood that they put inside.
Yeah.
So it's a
Is
lot
it the
of
same
seafood.
cooking method?
Kind of, sort of, anyway. I would say. But the difference is that there's a lot, as you can see, the prawns and the whatever. Yeah, and I think because of the seafood, it tastes slightly different. But I think, well, when I say the cooking method, because I've seen people make jollof rice, yeah, they want to smoke it, they want to add, so maybe it's not quite the same.
Right. So we can say that the Spanish twin for jollof is
Paella.
Paella. Okay,
sí,
that's
paella.
the Spanish twin.
Sí,
Makes
paella,
sense. But do you think Spanish people, they eat a lot of pepper?
No, not
They wouldn't.
necessarily. Now, but just to make you so Spain is Europe, and when I say paella, paella is actually a European export to
Okay.
other Spanish-speaking countries. So when you go to a place like Cuba, they eat arroz so arroz is rice, con puerco. Puerco is pork. It's kind of almost like our jollof rice. It could be spicy, but they don't do as much spice as we do here. Mexico also has their own kind of arroz. They might be a little bit more spicy than Cuba, but so it kind of varies depending on where you are. But I think Africa, the spice is not like we have it in Africa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense still. Right. You seem very well traveled, exploring cultures.
Quite a bit.
Did you grow up, were you born rather in the US?
In Lagos.
Lagos, okay.
Yes.
But probably Spanish took you out there?
Not at all. Going to school in England took me out. Yes,
then
I went to school, right, and from there I went up to...
explore Spanish
exactly.
and a couple of other things. So what are your plans for Mothering Sunday on Sunday?
Honestly, just when you said it, that I remembered it. One of the things I'd say about SLANG Global, and I feel that everybody who walks into that place is like a child of mine. We just gave birth to something that is absolutely phenomenal in Nigeria and in Enugu. So just going there is enough of a gift for Mother.
Sunday celebration. What is this thing?
Yeah. So because we're offering salsa classes, Spanish language classes, film sessions, book readings, and all that. And we have discovered that a lot of young professionals, students, are the ones coming in, and their appreciation is all the gift I need, because they're very, very appreciative of. You asked the question earlier, was why did you go to Lagos? Why? And that's a question that was asked. Why didn't you set this thing up in Abuja? Why not in Lagos? The real reason for that is because many of the things we do can be done virtually. We don't have to be in Lagos to reach Lagos, because when we offer our classes in Spanish, we have people in Abuja taking classes, taking our classes online. It's always nice to have people sitting in front of me, but they can take it online. So the world is such that we can be anywhere. We can actually set up in my village, and if there's enough internet connection,
it gets to everyone.
Absolutely. So to answer your question, that would be a great Mothering Day event.
Sunday.
Mothering
So
sorry,
no specific.
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, not at all.
No problem.
Yeah, I know. So.
But if you're not teaching people Spanish, if you're not listening to maybe Spanish songs, or just doing any Spanish thing, what do you do?
What do? I actually I like to read a lot, and I like to write.
Okay.
Because I think in once upon a time or soon, I'd like to publish something that tells my story, and my story within the context of what I do. Because
an autobiography.
Yes, because I happen to be, and I said to someone who is from this area, who was transformed into something that I consider truly a gift from God, and I'm totally grateful for it. And I think it's a story that can be told. Maybe if I publish it, it's for myself, but I think it's a good story to tell. So I like to read. I like to play, well, you said Spanish. I like to listen to Spanish music, and I like to play Scrabble.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
That's fun.
Yes, so, yeah.
Nothing else.
I'm not actually a TV person, so I hardly watch TV.
But you said at SLANG Global there are film sessions.
Yes.
So you do engage.
Absolutely.
When it's
so
time.
for the clients, absolutely, because films are. So if I say to you Afro-Latin and I say Panama, and
is Panama not a place?
It is. It's un lugar. It's a country, and you might say, "Oh, Panama. What do I know about it?" So the film introduces. So rather than me say, "Okay, Panama map, whatever," the film introduces Panama in a way that everybody can sit down and talk. And the beauty of the films that we show is that even when I say someone like you lives in Panama, it still doesn't register until you see that person in the film. It's like, oh, okay. And they're doing exactly the same things
Yeah.
with the same, what you call it, the same challenges and all that. So we use the films to have a conversation about the Afro-Latin world.
Makes sense. Makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. Now, what would you tell someone who is looking at breaking into maybe Spanish or any other language? What would you tell them, like an advice or challenges they would face probably along the way?
Yes. Well, learning a language is a process. I don't use the word challenge. You will not speak Spanish in 1 month or 2 months, but you have to be patient enough to understand that learning a language is almost a lifelong process. But you have to have the passion. And you also have to have the reason why. You know, when people come to SLANG Global and say, oh, I want to learn Spanish, that's fantastic. But I said, well, why do you want to learn Spanish? What's the purpose?
Right.
So the purpose is also very important. And I am the number one plugger of Spanish in Nigeria because it's like I know the 500 million people who speak it, and I know the opportunities out there. And I'm an example of that opportunity, that I'm sitting down here with you today as a professor of Spanish at an institution in the United States of America is because of Spanish. It's not really because I'm Nigerian, or it is because I'm a Nigerian who speaks Spanish. It's taken me all over the place, all over the world.
It's taking you all over the world. I like the sound of that. I like
Yes.
the sound of that.
Yes.
I should probably consider it because I mean, who doesn't want to travel
that's
around the
right,
world?
all over the world. That's right.
Right. So let's go into some light-hearted questions.
So tell
right.
me. Mhm.
So if you were to describe a Nigeria in Spanish in 3 words, using 3 words in Spanish, how would you describe?
So
Nigeria?
describe the country Nigeria?
Yes, in Spanish.
Pues que es un país interesante.
Wait,
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. You see, before we go into that,
Okay.
there's something about speaking Spanish. Even when I watch some shows, there was this show from many years ago that I watched in secondary school called Corazon Valiente.
Oh, wow.
Braveheart.
Oh,
It
yes.
was so...
Yeah, I love that title,
loved-
Corazón Valiente.
it was so great. So when they do ta 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 ta, I don't know what they're saying. Of course, I would use the subtitle, but it was so interesting.
And guess
hearing them.
what? You can
Wow.
actually do this because I'm sitting down here and I'm Nigerian. I don't have
Right.
2 tongues. You can do the same thing.
I can.
Yes, you can.
So we're going to take this slowly.
Yes.
Right? I know Spanish is like you people. Yeah, right now I can say you people.
Yes.
Speak fast. Right?
Okay, so I'm going to be slow.
Because people
And I'm
watching
going
us
to
have their pens and
translate.
jotters
Yes.
ready.
So 3 sentences about Nigeria, and I'll say
Yeah.
so. So number 1.
Number 1.
Nigeria. That's Nigeria. Nigeria es un país grande.
Nigeria is big.
Exactamente.
Oh my God,
That's right. So
God,
es un
so
país
good,
grande.
guys.
Sí. Nigeria es un país interesante.
Intelligent people. It has intelligent people.
Interesante.
Intellectual people.
Interesante. Sounds like English. Interesting.
Oh my God! Right.
Interesante. So it's an interesting country.
Interesting country. Okay.
Exactamente. But then the other one, I'm not going to use. I'm going to say Nigeria es un país con muchas personas.
Much personalities.
Personas.
Many people.
Exactamente.
Oh my! I am so learning Spanish.
There
I
you
am
go.
good.
There you go.
I love it. Yes.
Oh my God. Sí, con muchas
You know,
personas.
I think it's the same. It's like that for me because I used to be very good in French, and French and Spanish, they have similarities.
Absolutely.
I noticed some words. And for example, if I say Premier Notre Dame, it's Our Lady in French,
Sí.
and in Spanish it's like
Nuestra Señora.
sorry, what?
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not Notre Dame. I wanted to say. I think Primera Dama
Okay,
is Spanish for
okay.
First Lady,
There you
and
go.
then Premier Dame is like the same for French. So they have so many similarities.
You're absolutely right. And one of the things I will recommend, so Spanish as well as many other languages will have cognates. So these are words that sound and look alike. So sound different, look the same, have the same meaning. So for example, if I said interesante, you're going to say that's
right.
interesting. If I say inteligente, intelligent.
Okay.
If I
Inteligente.
say, what is the other one? Responsable.
Responsible.
Responsible, exactly.
Oh my God.
Eficiente.
Efficient.
That's right.
Okay.
Paciente.
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 Pasivo?
Paciente. Patient.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So these are cognates. So because you see them, it's like, oh, I know what this thing is. And there are
Right.
many words like that, many adjectives, for example. So you can go a long way with these cognates.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
There's more coming.
Tell
So
me.
we're about to enter the game session, but
Oh, wow.
guys, you're seeing. I hope you have your pens and your jotters ready to learn quick Spanish pronunciations and words from Professor Uchenna Pamela Vasser. I hope you're having fun because I definitely am. After this, I think I can speak. I'll start teaching people Spanish because I am good. Whether you like it or not, I'm good. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll go full on into learning Spanish. Just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Nka. I am China Loromogo Eze, and with me here is still the vibey, interesting Professor Uchenna Pamela Vasser, Professor of Spanish Language. And if you're just joining us, we're about to go full on into learning Spanish. So I have, this is the game segment, and I have a couple words.
Tell me.
Couple words that I'm going to, do you speak Pidgin, first of all?
I try.
Okay. So we're going to test both your Pidgin, your Igbo, and the Spanish.
Okay.
But first of all, let's translate this word to Spanish, and I'm going to say it slowly with you as well.
Okay.
Life is short. Order more chin chin.
Oh, Dios mío.
Yeah. What? Dios mío is what? My
Dios
God.
Mío is my God. See.
Oh, I'm good. I'm so good. Yeah, let's have it.
Okay, so life is short. La vida es corta.
La vida es corta.
La vida es corta.
Es corta.
Okay. Pide. Más. Chin chin. Sí.
Say it again. Say everything again.
Sí, la vida es corta.
La vida es corta.
Pide más chin chin.
Okay. I know mi casa es su casa though. My
Claro.
castle is your castle.
That's
right.
right. Mi casa es su casa. Sí.
Okay, moving on. Okay, this one says, Niger without drama. Impossible.
Oh, Dios mío.
Yeah.
Nigeria sin drama es imposible.
Nigeria
sin drama es imposible. Sí, imposible. Sin drama es imposible. Sí.
Okay. I hope you are taking down things. So this one is in Pidgin.
A ver.
You just tell us the Spanish translation.
Okay.
You sabi dance?
¿Sabes bailar?
Say it again.
¿Sabes bailar? And that's an interesting thing because the sabi is actually, some people I don't know, is kind of a bastardization of Portuguese. So you just say you sabi. In Spanish, it's sabes.
Okay, what does that mean?
Do you know?
Oh, it's actually the same meaning.
That is correct.
Oh my God, this language is so linked
That is
together.
correct. Sabes bailar? Do you know how to dance?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Also going. This is Pidgin.
Okay.
Eat choke.
Eat choke.
It's not eat choke.
Okay, eat choke. So what is eat choke?
Eat choke. Okay, I know that would maybe a bit difficult for you, but it means unbelievable.
Okay, es difícil. Es difícil.
Es difícil.
Sí.
Okay.
I think there's a stronger, but es difícil. Y choke, es difícil. Es imposible.
Oh.
Es imposible, es difícil. Sí.
But you know, when we use e choke, we're trying to
give me a context.
Yeah, exactly. Let me say, okay, maybe you're trying to ask me, so how was class?
Difícil.
I'm like, e choke. Or maybe how was that exam? Like Ichoko.
Difícil.
So maybe unbelievable may not be the exact translation for that word, because when I say Ichoko, I'm like, you had mine. It was crazy. It was
difícil.
All those things.
Difícil will be the better word. Yeah,
all right.
Difícil.
Okay. I'm gonna say this one in Igbo.
A ver.
I'll say this one in Igbo and then you translate.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, the camera gaze. Wow.
Parece que va a llover.
Oh wait. Professor Uche,
Parece
I've
que
told you
va-
to take this
Yeah,
thing
okay,
slowly.
sorry.
Oh my god.
Parece is appears.
Okay.
Parece que va a llover. It appears it's going to rain.
Okay.
Parece que va a
Parece.
llover.
Okay. 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 Egwu dịkwa o.
Igudikwa. What's the context?
There's problem o.
Hay problema.
Okay.
Hay problema.
Egwu dịkwa may not exactly be this
Business,
problem
yeah.
because it's like egwu means
Porque temor
What
is
is that?
fear.
yes,
Que
fear is fear.
hay temor.
What does that mean?
Hay
That
temor.
emphasizes more of egwu
Yes,
dịkwa.
hay temor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's have this one. Wahala for who knows sabi kuku.
Oh, Dios mío. Wahala for
Who knows sabi cook.
So it's, I don't want to keep using problema. Para una persona que no sabe cocinar es algo, no sé, que es malo que una persona no sabe
Oh
cocinar.
Jesus! You were okay.
So because
let's
you're
say
saying
it
it's a
again.
problem that this person does not know how to cook, right? So que es una, so you can say, so I'm trying to figure out how to capture the que es un problema que esa persona no sabe cocinar. Es un problema
Es un problema
que esta persona
que esta persona
no sabe cocinar.
no seba
Sabe.
sabe
Cocinar.
cocinar.
Cocinar. Cocinar is to cook.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, so finally,
Tell me.
I'd like you to teach me and the audience or anyone watching from anywhere a quick Spanish tongue twister.
Oh, Dios mío.
Yeah, so take your time. Think of a Spanish tongue twister. In Igbo, we can say something like "Wang ina hwa hwa." Ina
Yes.
hwa hwa no kuko ira hwa n'elu akwa ikwara akwa dị n'elu akwa. Do you even know what that means?
I kind of pick out words.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, aqua,
Yes,
that
yeah,
makes it
right.
a very massive tongue twister. Okay, so
I'm
have you thought of
gonna have
something?
to fill this one because I'm just thinking of the ones because every letter has a tongue twist, and I can think of Pedro, Pancho, no sé qué, which would be the P, but I can't think of them, completely. So
Okay, but I found something on
oh,
ChatGPT.
okay, fantastic. Okay, go ahead.
Because ChatGPT can translate
Yes.
for you.
Okay, tell
so
me.
I have one that said 3 sad tigers.
Okay, tres tristes tigres. Tres tristes tigres. Okay, that's true.
Okay, 3 sad tigers eat wheat in a wheat field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So come trigo en una cancha de trigo. So wheat is trigo. So tres tristes tigres come trigo en.
I'm done with you.
Yeah. But that's the T tongue twister right there.
Right.
Yeah.
What it said,
Tell me.
maybe it just used different words. Something
Go
like,
ahead.
I'm gonna be horrible
No, go
pronouncing
ahead.
these things, but do not crucify me. Tres triste tigre tragan trigo en un trigal.
Okay. So traga is not actually eat. So they're kind of
Okay.
so that it's like inhaling, drinking. So tres tristes tigres traga trigo en un
Jesus Christ.
what they say en un trigal.
Yeah.
En un trigal.
Okay, let's take it. Let's take it again.
Okay.
Tres
Tristes
triga
tigres traga trigo
en
en un trigal.
Well, I took it slowly. I don't want to have to do it fast because I will definitely bite my tongue.
But that's a tongue twister right there.
It's a tongue
Exactly.
twister.
Exactly.
So for those wondering, it means 3 sad tigers eat wheat in a wheat field. That's pretty much it. So finally, I'd like to know, what's your favorite Spanish slang or phrase, and what does it mean?
Okay, so I'm going to use the one that I teach anybody who comes into SLANG Global. It's pura vida. Pura vida.
What does it mean?
So pura vida is actually one of those things that you say to say happy, well, it can be anything. It's kind of like a greeting. So the country, watching out the country, the people of Puerto Rico, If they meet you, they're happy with you. Pura vida. You come into their place, pura vida. You know,
So it's like hello.
it's everything. It's an
Oh,
expression that identifies the people of Puerto Rico.
okay.
Pura vida.
Pura vida.
Pura vida.
All right,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Beautiful people, I hope you have learned so much, just like I have learned so much listening and learning from Professor Uchenna Pamela Vasser, who intends to celebrate Mothering Sunday, still doing things in the Spanish circuit. And we're so rooting for you as you do that and navigate the world of Spanish speaking. I hope you've listened. I hope you've learned. I hope you took notes. And we're going to see you next time on this particular station, DSTV channel 254, Go TV channel 17, and Free TV channel 748. My name is Chinalo Rumogo Eze, and I will see you some other time. Bye.